Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 245, Loving Others. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host. And I'm here today in 818 Studios with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Croft, and welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey. As always, we welcome you to a brand new week here, wrapping up February. It's hard to believe. Spring is right around the corner. That means Easter. That means consistently warmer weather. And I don't know, man. Yeah. I've said this before, but since moving to Florida now, almost 11 years, spring and fall have become some of my favorite seasons. You know,
Beautiful
I used to love
here.
some winter, used to love some summer, but now I think it's just the climate. But everything's blooming. Everything's coming alive. We got our time change coming up soon, so I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah, me too. And I'm pretty excited because in just a couple days, I'm going to be starting my first Wednesdays downtown at Center for Spiritual Living in Orlando.
That's so exciting.
I'm telling you, that is amazing. So first Wednesdays downtown at CSL Orlando, which is at Edgewater and Colonial. It could not be any more central to every freeway in Orlando. So if you're coming east-west, if you're coming north-south, you can easily get off the freeway and join us at service. And it's going to start at 7 with gathering and appetizers, and then 7:30 we're gonna start. So it'll be about 7:30 to 8:30 on the first Wednesday of the month, and it's pretty exciting for me. A lot of different things are happening in my career, and I never really imagined doing something in Orlando again. But I had so many requests to do it, and it's been a long time since I've ministered in Orlando, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, and that's such a cool place, and you'll get we got some old friends there, Jonathan Brown, and lots of folks who I know you love, who love you.
Oh yeah, and for a while I had done counseling down there, and then I taught a few speaking courses there, and frankly, that building and I have a love affair. And
that's a very cool building.
It's a really cool building. I almost bought it when it was closed. I say almost bought it. I looked, I inquired, I thought about it, prayed about it. And really, if I would have had more energy back from a realtor, I probably would have figured out a way, but it just obviously wasn't meant to be. It never flowed to move forward on the purchase. And so I've always loved the building, and this just felt like a divine order. I even tried several different places in town, and every place I called for a various reason just was not flowing. Somebody wouldn't call me back, or they'd call me back, and the rates were really completely unreasonable for rentals. And this, once again, is great. I think I still have a key. I told them, you don't think you have to give me a key? I think I still have.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, since it's me, I'll tell you, it's always the main focus is the message. You know, it's really a modern day version probably of Talks on Truth. And there will be some music for sure, and I'll tell you more about that as well. We're close because of when we're recording, but I don't have every detail of that worked out yet, but that's coming together. But there'll be some nice food, meaningful message.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, spring has sprung here in my world, whether it has everywhere else or not.
It's all about new life and new energy and all of that. So heck yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've mentioned over the last couple of months about working more with the kids, working more with some athletes. I have some corporate work coming forward that was unexpected, that somebody I talked to over a year ago, and it's going to be fun. Just good old-fashioned inspiration. And friends, I've discovered that a great way for me to support individuals is to let them know their value. It's like I never say the word God at times, but just people knowing that they have value, people knowing that they have the power to change their lives for the better. And then they find their way to a spiritual teaching that works for them. So it's been fun for me to just meet people where they are. And I hope you're doing that with people in your life. You know, sometimes we want to have everybody be exactly where we are. And sometimes it's fun just to love and support. And for me, inspire. That's my work, really.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun recently, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're just coming alive. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, that's what this season's about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a title today. So you may have noticed, if you've been listening regularly, that every title this month has been about love. This is the month of love.
Yep. And today's title is no different. It is Loving Others.
Yeah.
Loving Others.
Yeah. And friends, I want you to just ask yourself. I have a dear friend who always says, every time I talk to him, he says, you know, I'm really thinking about that word love, and I wonder if I know what it really means. He's very, very thoughtful in the way he approaches life. And I said, well, I think you know because of the work that you do in the world. He said, but I can't describe it. And I said, well, in your case, you don't have to describe it because you are it. And he does his work through service to young men and women in the game of golf. So that his love is shown through his service. And that's what we're talking about today, really. Loving others is about service. And so many of you that are listening, I know, have been on the spiritual journey for a really long time. Having said that, it becomes natural, it becomes normal, it becomes an aspect of life that you begin to serve others on a regular basis simply because that is the nature of God. That is the nature of someone who loves God, is to serve others, because you realize, well, if God loves me with all my mistakes and foibles, God loves everyone else too. So how will they know God? Well, through my service, right? Through my service. Sai Baba has one of the most miraculous teachings that's so simple and only 4 words. He says, love all, serve all. Love all, serve all. And that's it. Not love the people who agree with me, right? Not love the people who are Christian. Not love the people who make $150,000 a year and have 2.5 kids, right? Love all, serve all. What I've discovered too about service is that every time we are willing to be of service, we're saying to ourselves, we're saying to the universe, I am worthy. I am worthy because I have something to give. Right? So ultimately, it's a way of acknowledging who you are and what you have to give. It's a really different vibe to be of service. And when you can serve somebody in a I was going to say in a regular way, what I meant to say is on a regular basis, when you can really be important in someone's life because of your area of service. For instance, if you are advanced in your career in some way and you want to mentor people coming behind you, that's a great way to be of service. You know, it's a way I've chosen to be of service in my career. If you are a teacher and you have students that you see could really use support, and, 10 years later, those students are going to come back to you and say, you saved my life. That's what I mean. You showing up on a regular basis for someone, it will change their lives. And in fact, in some cases, might save their lives. But loving others is, I may be sounding, I feel like this morning I'm in a little self-judgment because I feel like I'm sounding somewhere between parental and preachy. And what I want to say is, I just woke up.
Well, it's okay because you are both those things. You are a parent and you're a minister. I mean, you're allowed.
Well, the thing I keep seeing is in our culture in general. So I have a major concern about this. Everyone is so me focused. And everyone, I say everyone, the predominant consciousness is somebody else will do it. I'm just going to go shopping and order from Amazon or watch my Netflix. The other thing that's going on is everybody's looking for somebody to judge and blame. I mean, I've seen it, and I mentioned this recently in a message at Unity North Tampa, that I've seen it also in athletics in a way, people talking, ripping up coaches when there's a loss on a game in a way that I never saw even 10 years ago. I mean, there's something about the culture of social media that people have become accustomed to saying and doing things that really are wildly disrespectful and hateful, right? And I'm talking about the opposite of that, being in service to other people. So, I mean, I'm as frustrated as the next person if a team I love loses a game, but I don't have to demonize the coach for it. You know what I'm saying? Like our general consciousness now seems to be who can say the wittiest, most cutting comment first. So it's another reason why all month I'm in this month of love. It's like, let's just lift up this idea. And it's really love God, love self, love others. That's really what the call is. In that order. But just think about how loving am I being as I'm going throughout my day? Because that's your call. You say you're a spiritual student. You say you love God. You say you want your life to make a difference. And then we go out to eat and we're mean to our servers, or we go to the grocery store and we bite the head off of the person in front of us because they're taking too long and stuff like that. So I'm talking about taking love to a higher level. Yes, in our everyday life. And then the highest level to me is service. Where am I being of service? And a lot of times people think that means, you have to go somewhere and mop floors. Well, I mean, that's good if that's what you want to do, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be, like I say, mentoring in something you really love, passing on learning to those coming behind you. One of the things my mom passed on to all of her kids, including me, was the love of cooking. It's a fun thing, and it's interesting to me that now there are several bakers and chefs in the family. And my nephew is a professional chef. He worked at Emerald. He's now over 4 restaurants. He's young. He's in his 30s, and just doing great. I think without my mom, he would have never found that. So that's just the way she served her own family. It wasn't even going out. It was just serving her own family. So think about that, friends. Think about that. How are you in your life and in your world? How are you being of service? Sometimes for me, just having this awareness of it helps. It helps me be more conscious. Because I'm like you all. There's things I want to get done in a day, and people take forever on things. Sometimes it drives me crazy when people drive bad. I get frustrated. Sometimes it's hard to be loving. You have to come out of yourself. But that's the other piece of being in service that really, really works for you, is that it helps you come out of your own issues and problems. It helps you come out of your own stress. It happened with my son very recently. He was needing help on something, and I had just a wildly busy couple of work weeks, and I'm not sure how it got away from me. I hadn't been that overscheduled in years. And all of a sudden, my son needed something with his music, and I went in there and helped him, and it was like, oh, yeah. This is what, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh yeah, this is a reset. So it just helped give perspective to everything. Me just taking some time out and supporting him on something he loved. I hope this is making sense, friends, what I'm saying. I'm waking up now. The coffee's starting to kick in. I may need another cup, though, before we're over. But yeah. I was coming off those busy work weeks, so yeah. Yeah, it was real important self-care to sleep in just a little bit this morning. And the interesting part, too, about loving others that I want you to just consider is our love for others really comes out of our love for God and love for self. The scriptures say, love your neighbor as you love yourself, simply because that's the only way you can love your neighbor is how you love yourself. So it is an important aspect to think about. If everybody is driving me crazy right now, chances are I'm not taking care of myself in the moment. Anytime you're wanting to blame those around you for not doing what you need, chances are you're not doing what you need. In the last couple of weeks, I had a couple situations that just really were getting under my skin, and I was getting very frustrated, and I said, wait a minute. If I am having this level of frustration in two situations, I am the common denominator. I just had to call myself on my own crap. It was like, okay, what is this? Okay, well, you know what? This is mine to shift. This is mine to change. This is mine to do. So where am I in this? In other words, they're just doing what they do. So what am I upset about? If I'm putting myself in these situations, yeah. But I know when I'm looking for somebody to blame, suddenly I am not doing the right self-care. And that working too much for those couple of weeks, I couldn't even tell you what day it was, I don't think. Working, counseling, teaching, giving, every day, hours a day, I was just spent. I was like, oh, I need an unplug. I need a recharge. Well, that's going to help me in my service to others. If I'm giving past the point I should be giving, what I'm teaching people is to abuse themselves, not to serve others, right? And then you start to resent the service and all that, So it's God, self, and others in that order for a reason. I have two family members that I admire so much with their service. It's my sister and her husband have a deep, deep faith, and they have really made a ministry of their lives. They're both retired, although they may go back to work, but right now they're in a time of retirement. And my sister makes these healing ointments, and the ointments are from a recipe my mom had, and then she's kind of made it her own. And so when there are people with cancer or skin issues or whatever, she gives them this ointment. Now, first of all, let me say it's very expensive to make the ointment, and it's extremely time consuming because she goes outside, she gathers all the herbs, then she dries the herbs, then there's a cooking process, then she prays over it, then it's finally bottled and sent and then given away. People, of course, ask her to buy it all the time, and she says, no, it's my ministry. And people she accepts donations now, which is new because she was giving away so many. And a guy came to her recently. He was going to help a bunch of veterans. People have just discovered this tremendous healing power of this stuff. Anyway, so that's one thing they do. The other thing they do is with people in their neighborhood, her husband goes to these homes of these widows and he does their lawn for free. And my sister then goes and offers and takes food and visits with them. So there's this whole community they built in a couple of streets by simply being of service. They just love them. One woman has completely transformed through their love and friendship. She was depressed. She was never coming out of her home. Now she's engaged. She's attending church. She's making better decisions for herself. And they were just loving her through their service. I like to call that kind of service sacred service. Expecting nothing in return. So friends, that's what I'm speaking of this morning. Sorry if it took me 20 minutes to get there. That's what I'm speaking of this morning. Sacred service. Sacred service. Think about that. Is there any way that you can include service as a part of your spiritual discipline? There's a new statement I've adopted in my life, which is, without discipline, you can have no devotion. And discipline, service is a discipline. It's like what I say is about forgiveness. Forgiveness is a way of being. Forgiveness is a way of walking in the world. Forgiveness is a way of living. You just get to the point on your spiritual journey where you say, holding on to this is so painful for me. It's not helping anybody else. I'm going to let it go. And so you begin walking through life realizing that, you know what? I'm just going to forgive because it's the highest way to be. And it's how I'm happiest. It's so simple. That when I'm having to blame everybody and wrong everybody, it just doesn't feel good. It creates this negative energy in my life, in my mind, in my body. No, I don't want to do it. Well, this is what I'm saying about service. It becomes a way of life. When you see an older person coming out of the grocery store, you offer to put their cart back. You offer to pay their groceries. You offer to help them if they need help. It's so simple. And the thing I find is I just feel so good about life and myself when I do it. And it doesn't take any time. So think about that. And if you're a parent, my goodness, or an aunt or uncle, and you've got, nieces and nephews, how are you showing them to be of service? Are you helping, taking the time? My son really had no choice. He had to learn it. His parents were ministers. So he's been trained to be of service his whole life. He's been taken into nursing homes when my mom was there to play his violin. He's going to always do that. I know that. He's going to always do that. A couple of years ago, I think I shared on the air when I started serving at a local nursing home, I brought him into play. And they loved it, and he loved it. He didn't want to do it when we were leaving the house, and then we got back in the car, after he played, and he goes, when are we going to do that again? It just feels good to be of service. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. So I hope this is making sense, what I'm saying to you, friends. Yeah. I have another friend that really serves through her work with animals. Like she rescues animals, she nurses them back to health. She works at it's in Orlando. It's called Birds. No, wait. Is it called Birds of Prey? Yeah. It's run by the Audubon Society. And several years ago, I took my staff there. It was really a special place, but they take birds that have been injured and they rehab them and then release them into the wild. And it's all run by volunteers. Of course, they have paid staff, doctors and things like that, but most of the service and the cleaning of the cages and all that, that's all done by volunteers. So she does her service to animals. But I've noticed she's so connected, right, to God, to earth, through her service. So think about that. Is there a way you can be of service? If your kids have friends and the friends come over, notice if one needs lifting up a little bit. When I was a teenager, if somebody paid me any attention or supported or said a kind word, man, I would go for months on that one kindness and just think, yeah, you know what? I can do this. You know what? yeah, maybe I can accomplish that. Just think about, sometimes it's just a little word or a little touch or a little support, or reach out if you know a friend needs help. Just that little touch is a wonderful way to be of service. And remember, friends, what I'm saying, when we're of service, we're saying, I am worthy. We're also calling out the worthiness in the other individual. It affirms your goodness, your worthiness, your holiness in the world. It also lifts you up and makes you feel good about yourself and your life, and you're going to make them feel better about themselves and their life. So it's even different from worthiness. It is value. Like, I matter. And somebody knowing they matter because of your place in their life, it'll be a connection you'll have for a very long time. I had someone say to me at Unity North Tampa recently, she said, you know what your favorite word is? And I said, what? I said, I can't wait to hear this. Am I totally unconscious on something? Just tell me. And she goes, your favorite word is friend. I started laughing. I said, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, you'll say, oh, this is my dear friend, and this is my friend, and this is my dear friend. I go, well, but they are. And she goes, well, how do you have that many dear friends? I said, I don't know. But the truth is, how do I? It's through service. And many of them I give lots of money to, but yeah, service. Many of them I've tithed to over the years. Because I listen to them. Because I lift them up. Because I tell them how great they are. Because I am their friend. You know that old phrase, to have a friend, you have to first be a friend. So simple. And so I like that feedback. At first I was like, well, what? Is that bad? What are you saying? Yeah. To have a friend, you've got to first be a friend. Sai Baba says, love all, serve all. That's pretty simple, friends. So my hope for you is that, as you go throughout your week, you'll just be maybe working in the office and you'll notice somebody over there who's having a rough day, and you'll go, you know what? I'm going to just go take a minute and say, hey, you doing okay? Serve them that way. It doesn't have to mean making somebody dinner or buying them something. Service, it's a way of being. It's a way of walking through the world. Remembering that you are connected, remembering that you are one, remembering that you are called to higher things. You're called to live a life of service, loving others, serving others. So my work this month has been love God, love self, love others. And one of my ways of loving others is this Orlando event I'm beginning next month, which is just a couple days from now, right? March 1st. It's a Wednesday night, first Wednesdays downtown. There's no cost to the event. It is a love offering event. That means if you can pay something, you do. If you can pay nothing, you're still very welcome. Right? It's a way for me to be of service and to serve people spiritually. Yeah. I'd love to see any of you there that want to be there. It's not going to be live streamed. You got to be in there. You got to be there in person. That's just, I can't work with all that. This is just my way of being of service and showing up for people spiritually. So, friends, I really do hope you are of greater service this week because you've heard this message. Because we're on this show, we are doing this podcast. We have a podcast channel to serve people spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. We want to see you grow, prosper, and evolve. So, friends, we will be lifting you in our prayers for all good. And we honor you. We bless you. We thank you for joining us, as always. And blessings on the journey, dear friend. We'll see you again soon.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2023, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.